The frontier station had no proper name anymore. Most maps marked it as a number, and most ships passed it without slowing down. It floated at the edge of a quiet system, built long ago when humans were still new to space and needed places like this to survive. Now it was old, patched, and mostly forgotten. Evan Hale liked it that way. He was a human engineer, not famous, not important, but very good with his hands and his mind. He knew how to make broken things work again. He knew how to listen to machines the way some people listen to music. The station kept him busy enough. Power failures, cracked hull plates, old engines that refused to die. Evan fixed them all. On that day, he was alone in the repair bay, floating upside down, tightening a loose conduit. When the warning alarm sounded, it was not loud. It was cautious. That alone made Evan pause. The station's sensors rarely picked up anything. When they did, it was usually debris or a lost cargo pod. Evan pushed himself toward the control panel and tapped the display. A shape appeared on the screen. Large, sharp, and badly damaged. A ship, not human. The hull's design was alien, angular, and layered, with patterns Evan had only seen in old data files. Even worse, the ship was drifting fast and unstable. Its engines were dark. Its shields were gone.
Evan swallowed. "Great," he muttered.
Just great. Protocol said he should call the nearest authority. Protocol also said that help would arrive in 3 to 5 business days, if at all. The ship would crash into the station long before that. Evan made his choice. He opened the emergency docking channel and pushed power into the old tractor beams. They screamed in protest, but slowly, painfully, the damaged ship began to turn. Metal groaned. The station shuddered. Evan held his breath until the ship locked into Dock 3. Silence followed. For a long moment, Evan just floated there, staring at the screen. His heart was beating fast, but his hands were steady. Whatever was on that ship, it was now his problem. He suited up, grabbed a medkit and a portable scanner, and headed for the airlock. The alien ship's interior was dark. Emergency lights flickered weakly, casting long shadows across the corridor. The air was thin but breathable. Evan moved slowly, scanning for life signs. The scanner beeped once. Alive. He followed the signal to the command chamber. The door was bent inward, as if something had struck it with great force. Evan forced it open and stepped inside. She was lying against the far wall. At first glance, Evan thought she was dead. Her armor was cracked and blackened, deep scars running across its surface. Dark blood, alien blood, had dried along her side. One arm was twisted at an unnatural angle. Then her eyes opened. They were not human. They were bright, sharp, and focused, even through pain. Evan froze. She moved slightly, trying to rise, but failed. Her breath was controlled, slow, like a trained soldier refusing to show weakness.
"You are not the ones who hunt me," she said, her voice calm but strained. Evan blinked.
The translator, implant in his ear, worked quickly, smoothing her words into clear English. "No," he said carefully. "I'm an engineer. Human." "This is a repair station!" Her gaze studied him in silence. Not fear, not confusion. Judgment. "Then why did you dock my ship?" she asked. "Because if I didn't, it would have smashed us both into scrap," Evan replied. "And because you're hurt." For the first time, something like surprise crossed her face. "You chose risk," she said. "For a stranger." Evan shrugged inside his suit. "That's kind of our thing." She watched him for another long second, then her head rested back against the wall. Whatever strength she had was fading. "I am Astra," she said. "A warrior." Evan moved closer, careful not to make sudden motions. He knelt beside her and began scanning her injuries. The readings were bad, Internal damage, fractured bones, energy burns. The armor itself was trying to keep her alive, but it was failing. A warrior. Evan said gently. You picked a rough day to visit. Her lips pressed together. Rough days follow me. Evan opened the med kit and began working. He didn't know her species well, but pain and injury followed patterns. He sealed wounds, injected stabilizers, and adjusted her armor's life support systems using manual overrides. She never cried out. When he finished, he leaned back and exhaled. You're stable. Not good. Not safe. But stable. Then I am in your debt, Astra said. Evan waved it off. We'll talk about debts later. First, I need to keep your ship from falling apart. Her eyes narrowed slightly. You repaired it already? Docked it, Evan corrected. Repair comes next. That ship, Astra said quietly, is older than your species' presence among the stars. Evan smiled. Then it's about my favorite kind. He spent the next hours moving between the station and the alien ship. The damage was severe. Weapons fire, internal sabotage, and something else. Something deliberate. Evan didn't comment on it, but he noticed how certain systems had been disabled with precision. This was not a random attack. As he worked, he felt Astra watching him. Even when she rested, her attention never fully left him. When he bypassed a shattered control node using scrap wiring and human standard connectors, she sat up, despite her injuries. That should not function, she said. It does now, Evan replied. Human rule number 1. If it works, don't argue with it. She studied the repair with open curiosity. You do not follow standard doctrine. We don't have much doctrine out here, Evan said. Just survival.
Hours later, the ship's core system stabilized. Evan wiped sweat from his brow and leaned against the wall.
There, he said. She won't win any races, but she won't explode either. Astra stood slowly, testing her balance. Her posture was straight, controlled, despite the pain she must still feel. You saved more than my life, she said. You saved my path, Evan chuckled softly. Glad to help, warrior. Her expression changed at that word. Something unreadable passed through her eyes, but she did not correct him. Outside the station, far beyond its weak sensors, encrypted signals jumped across space. Ancient codes awakened. Fleets shifted course. The galaxy had noticed, but Evan Hale did not know that yet. He was just an engineer, standing in a broken station, helping a wounded warrior. Unaware that history had just turned its eyes toward him, the station returned to its quiet rhythm after the repairs were done. But the silence felt different now. It was tense, like the air before a storm. Evan noticed it while he floated through the main corridor, checking power readings and structural stress. Everything looked normal, yet his instincts told him something had changed. Astra was awake. She stood near the observation window, looking out at the stars. Her armor was partially removed now, revealing a slimmer inner suit marked with symbols Evan did not recognize. She moved with controlled grace, every step careful but confident. Even injured, she carried herself like someone used to being followed. You should be resting, Evan said as he approached. I have rested enough, Astra replied. Pain does not leave by hiding from it. Evan raised an eyebrow. That's one way to see it. Still, if you reopen those wounds, I'll have to fix you again.
She turned her head slightly. You complain, but you act.
Yeah, Evan said.
That... She studied him for a moment, then nodded once, as if accepting a fact. Evan noticed she did that often. Small gestures, sharp decisions, no wasted movement. Over the next 2 days, Astra remained on the station. Evan adjusted the station's gravity and atmosphere slightly to better suit her biology. She watched closely, asking short, direct questions about human systems, human logic, and human choices. "Why do you live here alone?" she asked once, as Evan calibrated a sensor array. "Because it's quiet," Evan answered, "and because nobody important cares what happens here." Astra looked at him then. Really looked. "Places like this matter more than you think." Before Evan could reply, the station's alert system chimed again. This time, it was not cautious. 3 ships appeared on the screen. They were fast, armed, and broadcasting an open signal. Evan felt his stomach tighten. That's not good. Astra stepped closer to the display. Her eyes narrowed and her posture changed instantly. The calm warrior vanished, replaced by something sharper. "They have found this place," she said. "Ooh," Evan asked. "Those who believe I should not exist." The ships closed in quickly. Evan ran calculations. The station's defenses were old and weak. Astra's ship was barely functional.
We can't fight them, Evan said. We can hide, maybe.
"Power down. Mask emissions." "No," Astra said firmly. "They will search until they find us. That is their nature." "The signal from the enemy ships cut through the room." A harsh alien voice filled the speakers. "Unknown station! Surrender the fugitive aboard you." "You will not be harmed." Evan glanced at Astra. "Fugitive, huh?" She did not answer. Instead, she stepped forward and activated the station's external speakers. "This station is under my protection," she said calmly. There was a pause, then laughter.
"You have no authority here," the voice replied.
"You are wounded, isolated, and forgotten." Astra's expression did not change. "You assume too much." Evan leaned toward her. "Any chance you want to explain what's going on?" "Later," she said quietly. "Trust me now." Evan hesitated for only a second. Then he nodded. "All right. Let's make this interesting." He moved fast, rerouting power from non-essential systems into the station's defenses. Astra gave short commands, not to Evan, but to the station's automated systems. Somehow, they responded, old protocols unlocking as if they had been waiting. "How are you doing that?" Evan asked. "These systems were built long ago," Astra replied, "by hands that knew obedience." The first enemy ship fired a warning shot. It missed on purpose, but the message was clear. Evan grinned tightly. Rude. He activated a manual override and adjusted the station's rotation, causing debris fields nearby to shift unpredictably. "What are you doing?" Astra asked. "Improvising," Evan said. "Human rule number 2. The enemy ships advanced, but their formation broke as debris and sensor noise filled the area. Astra watched, eyes sharp.
You fight like water, she said. No fixed shape.
"Yeah,"
Evan said.
"We leak into cracks." The mercenaries tried to dock. That was their mistake. As soon as their boarding pods latched on, Astra moved. Despite her injuries, she was fast and precise. She took a weapon from a fallen drone and disabled the pods with controlled bursts. Evan stared.
You sure you're just a warrior? Astra did not answer. Instead, she spoke into a secure channel, her voice low but absolute.
The mercenaries hesitated. Their systems flickered. Confusion spread through their ranks. "Why are they stopping?" Evan asked. "Because they recognize command," Astra said. "The enemy ships pulled back suddenly." Their leader's voice returned, no longer mocking. "This is impossible," he said. "You are dead!" Astra stepped closer to the speaker. "You failed." Silence followed. Then the ships jumped away, vanishing into hyperspace. The station was quiet again. Evan exhaled slowly. His hands were shaking now that the danger had passed. "Well," he said, "that could have gone worse." Astra turned to him. For the first time, there was something like respect in her eyes. "You did not run?" she said.
Many would have. Yeah, Evan replied. Running's overrated.
They stood there for a moment, surrounded by flickering lights and humming machines. Evan realized something then. She had not asked him to help. She had expected it, and he had delivered. Far away, beyond human space, alarms rang in grand halls of crystal and steel. Ancient codes activated fully now. Loyal fleets changed course. Old enemies prepared their defenses. The warrior was no longer hidden, and the engineer had just chosen a side. The station did not sleep that night. After the enemy ships vanished, Evan worked non-stop. He reinforced weak hull plates, boosted sensor range, and set up early warning systems using parts that were never meant to work together. Wires crossed in strange ways. Old code mixed with new logic. It was messy, human, and effective. Astra watched him from the command platform. She said little, but her eyes missed nothing. "You are preparing for a war," she said at last. Evan paused, wiping grease from his hands. "I'm preparing for visitors." Big difference. "They will return," Astra replied. "Next time, they will not test. They will erase." Evan sighed. "Yeah, that's what I figured." He glanced at her injuries. They were healing faster now, helped by the station's adjusted environment and Astra's own advanced biology. Still, she should not have been standing for so long.
You should sit, Evan said. I have ruled while bleeding, Astra replied calmly.
"This is nothing." That sentence stayed with him. "Ruled." Evan frowned slightly but did not press. Instead, he turned back to his console. The long-range sensors suddenly flickered. That's new. The display filled with signals. Not 3 ships, not even 10. Dozens, then hundreds. They appeared across the edge of the system, emerging from hyperspace in perfect formation. Massive vessels. Elegant. Terrifying. Evan's mouth went dry. "These aren't mercenaries," he whispered. "No," Astra said softly. "These are Imperial fleets." Evan turned slowly. "Imperial, as in," Astra said, stepping forward, her voice steady. "The power that governs most of this galaxy. The fleets did not attack. They stopped at the system's edge and held position. Then a single signal request appeared. Formal, encrypted, ancient. Evan stared at it. "They are hailing us." Astra closed her eyes for a brief moment. When she opened them, the warrior was gone. What stood before Evan now was something else entirely. "Open the channel," she said. Evan hesitated. "You sure?" "Yes." He activated the channel. The image that appeared made Evan catch his breath. A vast chamber filled the screen, lined with towering figures of different species, all wearing symbols of rank and power. At the center stood a tall alien male, his head bowed. "Your Radiance," the figure said. "We have found you." Evan's brain stalled. "Your Radiance." Astra stepped into view. "I did not ask to be found," she said. A ripple passed through the chamber. Shock, relief. "Fear. The throne has waited," the alien said. "The galaxy fractures without you." Astra's gaze was cold. "It fractures because you allowed betrayal to grow." The alien lowered his head further. "We failed. Evan stood frozen, his mind struggling to catch up. Warrior. Fugitive. Command codes. Imperil fleets. Empress. The word hit him like a physical blow. He had argued with her, joked with her, told her to sit down. Astra ended the transmission with a simple gesture. The screen went dark. Silence filled the room. Evan laughed once. It came out weak and breathless. So, Galactic Empress. That's a thing. Astra turned to him. There was no anger in her expression, only honesty. I am the Empress of the Aurelian Accord, she said. Or I was. Evan ran a hand through his hair.
You could have mentioned that. I needed truth, she replied, not obedience. That made him stop.
You treated me as a person, Astra continued, not a symbol.
Not a throne. That matters more than you understand. Before Evan could respond, the sensors screamed. Another fleet arrived. This one was different. Black hulls. Aggressive formations. Weapons hot. Evan felt the fear settle in his chest. Let me guess. The bad guys. The traitors, Astra said.
Led by those who tried to kill me. The enemy fleet did not hail them. They attacked.
Energy fire tore through space. The station shook violently as shields flared and weakened. Evan was already moving, rerouting power, shouting commands to machines that barely listened. We can't take this, he yelled. There's too many. Astra's eyes burned with focus. Then we changed the rules. She placed her hand on an ancient console Evan had ignored earlier. Symbols lit up. Symbols that had not responded to anyone else. What are you doing? Evan asked, awakening what was forgotten. The station groaned as hidden systems came online. Massive energy conduits activated, drawing power from places Evan did not know existed. This station, Astra said, was once a throne outpost, a place of judgment. Evan stared. You're kidding. I do not joke. The enemy fleet hesitated as space itself seemed to shift. Gravity wells formed. Sensor ghosts multiplied. Their advanced systems struggled against something old and absolute. Evan's mind raced. If I can feed your systems human algorithms, adaptive ones, we can make this unpredictable. Astra looked at him sharply. Can you do that? Evan grinned, fear and excitement mixing. Watch me. He worked faster than ever before, fingers flying, code rewriting itself in real time. Human logic was messy, aggressive, and creative. Where alien systems followed rules, Evan broke them. The station became a trap. Enemy ships collided with false readings. Weapons misfired. Shields failed in cascading waves. The traitor flagship pushed forward anyway, firing everything it had. Astra stepped to the viewport, her silhouette framed by fire and stars. For the Accord, she said quietly. She raised her hand. The station fired. Not a beam, not a missile. Authority. The flagship's systems shut down instantly. Its weapons died. Its engines went silent. The remaining enemy ships fled. Evan collapsed into a chair, breathing hard. Okay, I officially hate space politics. Astra turned to him, something softer in her eyes now.
You saved an empire tonight, she said. Evan shook his head.
No, I just fixed some broken things. She smiled faintly. That is what rulers truly do. Outside, the loyal fleets advanced, securing the system. Across the galaxy, news spread like wildfire. The Empress had returned. And she had not returned, alone. In a forgotten station at the edge of space, a human engineer sat among sparks and broken panels, unaware that his name was already being spoken in halls of power, spoken with curiosity, fear, and growing respect. The system did not stay quiet after the battle. Loyal fleets moved in wide arcs around the station, forming protective lines. Smaller ships came and went, carrying messages, scouts, and wounded. The once forgotten frontier station became the center of attention for forces that could reshape the galaxy. Evan felt like an ant, standing in the middle of a marching army. He walked through the station corridors, stepping over temporary cables and glowing panels he had installed in a rush. Everywhere he went, machines hummed louder than before. The station was awake now, more alive than it had been in decades. Astra stood in the command chamber, speaking with projected figures from the loyal fleet. Generals, admirals, leaders of species Evan had only seen in history files. They listened closely to every word she said. She did not raise her voice. She did not need to. The traitor fleets will regroup, Astra said calmly. They will attempt to paint this battle as an accident. A misunderstanding. A tall reptilian commander bowed his head. We await your command, your radiance. Evan flinched slightly at the title. He still was not used to it. Astra turned her head just enough to look at Evan. Not here, she said. Not yet. The commanders hesitated, confused, but they obeyed. One by one, the projections faded. When they were alone, Evan let out a long breath. You know, most people would enjoy having half the galaxy bowing to them. Astra walked toward the viewport, gazing at the fleets. Most people are not burdened by what follows. She was quiet for a moment. Power attracts those who wish to twist it, she continued. That is how I was betrayed. I trusted tradition more than change. Evan leaned against a console. Let me guess. Too rigid. Too clean?
Yes, Astra said.
Too perfect. The Empire stopped adapting. Evan nodded slowly. That's usually when things break. An alert chimed softly. New data streams appeared on Evan's console. Fleet diagnostics, battle reports, casualty lists. His eyes scanned them quickly. They are already copying what we did, he said. The way we messed with enemy sensors. Human style. Logic loops. Astra turned.
And they don't fully understand it, Evan replied, which is good.
Because once you understand something too well, you stop questioning it. Astra considered that. You believe uncertainty is a strength? Absolutely, Evan said. Keeps you honest. Hours passed in a blur. Evan barely noticed when he stopped thinking of Astra as an empress and started thinking of her as a partner. They worked side by side, merging old imperial systems with human adaptability. The results surprised everyone. A scout fleet reported that traitor forces attempting to regroup were failing. Their own ships argued with themselves, logic fighting logic, commands collapsing into chaos. Human code was spreading faster than anyone expected. Their doctrine cannot handle flexibility, one admiral reported. Astra's expression was thoughtful. Then we will not crush them. We will outgrow them. Evan smiled. Now you're thinking like a human. News traveled fast. Across the galaxy, systems that had once stayed neutral began to speak. Worlds long ignored by the Empire reached out, not to the fleets, but to the station. They wanted to know why things felt different. They wanted to know who the human was. Evan did not like that part. I didn't sign up for attention, he muttered as another message pinged his console. You did not seek it, Astra replied. That is why it follows. She watched him carefully. Does this frighten you? Evan thought about it. About command rooms filled with powerful beings. About his name being spoken far away by people he would never meet. Yeah, he said honestly. A little. Astra nodded. Good. Fear reminds us to listen. A crisis came without warning. A neutral system near the border erupted into conflict. Old rival species clashed, each blaming the other, each armed with stolen Imperial tech. The traitors had been busy, fleet commanders argued. Old protocols demanded overwhelming force. Quick suppression! Silence. Astra did not answer them immediately. Instead, she looked at Evan. "What would you do?" she asked. Evan blinked. "Me? Yes." He hesitated.
"I'd send help, not warships."
Engineers, med teams, fix their infrastructure before fixing their politics. The room went silent.
"That is not Imperial doctrine,"
An admiral said carefully.
"No,"
Astra replied. "It is better," she gave the order. Human engineers were sent alongside Imperial support ships. They repaired power grids, stabilized food systems, and opened communication channels instead of firing weapons. The fighting stopped within days. The galaxy noticed. Systems that had once feared the Empire began to hope again. Not everyone was pleased. Deep in traitor-controlled space, a council gathered. They watched recordings of the station battle, of the human engineer rewriting Imperial systems as if they were toys. "He is a threat," one of them said. "Not because of weapons, because of influence." They agreed on one thing. The human had to be removed. The attack came silently. No fleets, no warnings. A single infiltration vessel slipped through the outer defenses, masked by data echoes the traitors had spent years perfecting. It reached the station's shadow before anyone noticed. Evan was in the lower engineering bay when the lights cut out. "Hey," he muttered. "That's not funny." His scanner spiked. "Movement." He turned just as armed figures emerged from the darkness. They were fast. Trained. Silent. Evan ran. He sealed bulkheads, rerouted gravity, and triggered emergency barriers as he fled through maintenance tunnels. He was not a soldier, but the station itself was now an extension of his mind. Still, they were closing in. In the command chamber, Astra felt it instantly. The station's systems cried out, not with alarms, but with something closer to pain. "Evan," she said into the channel. "They are here. I noticed!" Evan shouted back, breathless. "Working on not dying." She moved without hesitation. Guards tried to follow, but she waved them back. "This is my responsibility," she said. She reached Evan just as the attackers cornered him in a narrow passage. They froze when they saw her. Recognition hit them like a physical force. Astra stepped forward. "You dare bring blades into a house under my protection?" Their leader raised his weapon anyway. "You are already dead, Empress. History just hasn't accepted it yet." Astra's eyes hardened. Evan did not wait. He slammed his palm into a control panel. The corridor's gravity flipped sideways. The attackers lost footing for a split second. That was enough. Astra moved. She disarmed them with precise, controlled strikes, using their own momentum against them. No wasted motion, no rage, only certainty. When it was over, the attackers lay unconscious on the deck. Evan leaned against the wall, heart pounding. "Okay," he said weakly. "That was definitely not in my job description." Astra turned to him. For the first time since he met her, she placed a hand on his shoulder. "You are no longer just an engineer," she said.
You are a symbol. Evan groaned. I was afraid you'd say that. She almost smiled.
Outside the station, loyal fleets tightened their watch. Across the galaxy, the traitors realized something terrible. They were not fighting an empire anymore. They were fighting an idea, and humans were at its center. Evan sat in the main engineering bay, staring at the display panels that hummed quietly under his fingers. After the last attack, the station had been reinforced beyond anything he thought possible. Hidden conduits, adaptive power relays, automated defenses. Everything had been upgraded with a mix of his human logic and Astra's ancient imperial systems. For the first time, he felt like the station was alive, not just machinery patched together. Astra entered quietly, her steps soft against the metal floor. Her armor was polished now, not for battle, but for presence. Even resting, she carried the weight of command without effort. Evan looked at her and shook his head. "You make this look easy," he said, though he knew she would not answer flippantly. "It is not about ease," she replied.
It is about responsibility. Something you are learning as well."
Evan chuckled softly. "I was an engineer. My responsibility was to fix things, not run empires." She stepped closer, observing the data streaming across the panels.
Yet you did more than fix. You changed the way systems respond.
"You made humans relevant in a galaxy that thought you were insignificant." He leaned back in his chair, letting exhaustion creep into his body. "I just followed instinct and tried not to let anyone die." Astra's gaze softened. "Instinct and morality are rare qualities in rulers. Perhaps that is why you matter." Evan froze for a moment, realizing she was speaking not as a warrior, but as someone who had judged the galaxy for centuries. "You really think humans can matter on that level?" "I do," she said firmly. "I have watched empires rise and fall. What I did not expect was to find courage, ingenuity, and loyalty in someone who was, simply, human." Outside, the station's sensors detected approaching vessels, not enemy ships, not traitors. Ships from the loyal fleets, coming to ensure the station's safety. Yet Evan did not feel the weight of fear this time. He had survived attacks that should have ended him. He had worked side by side with an empress. The impossible had become ordinary. Astra turned toward him. "The next steps must be considered carefully.
The galaxy will try to exploit hesitation. Every move will be watched."
Evan nodded slowly. "So, we show them that humans are more than observers."
"Exactly," she said. "Humans are capable of action, of leadership, of survival. They have always underestimated your kind." For hours they worked together. Astra planned strategy while Evan adapted it with unpredictable human logic. They coordinated defenses, supply lines, and communication networks. The station became a hub of innovation, a testament to collaboration between human instinct and imperial authority. Word of their efforts spread across the galaxy. Systems that had remained neutral began offering resources and support. Trade routes reopened. Scholars sent reports. Engineers requested to study Evan's methods. He was not seeking glory, yet his reputation grew faster than he could comprehend. Evan found himself on a balcony overlooking the repair docks, watching a new human crew arrive. Ships that once carried fear and hesitation now came with purpose and skill. He realized how much his work had inspired them, how humans, small and seemingly fragile, could impact something far greater than themselves. Astra joined him silently. She did not speak at first, simply observing the bustling activity. Then, she said, "The galaxy is watching. They see what you have achieved. Do you understand the importance?" Evan considered her words carefully.
"I think I do. But I also think they underestimate us even now."
"That's the advantage." Astra smiled faintly, almost imperceptibly.
"Then let them underestimate. They will learn."
Days turned into weeks. The station grew stronger, more organized, and more influential. Trader forces attempted minor incursions, yet each failed because Evan's unpredictable engineering solutions combined with Astra's authority created defenses no enemy could anticipate. Humans, guided by their instinct and creativity, became central to the Empire's revival. One evening, as the sun set over the distant gas giant visible from the station's observation deck, Astra approached Evan.
"You could have asked for power, reward, or position.
she said. Instead, you chose duty, ingenuity, and humanity. Evan shook his head. I fix problems.
I don't rule galaxies. She studied him carefully, her eyes reflecting the stars outside.
That is what makes you remarkable. You did not seek authority. You demonstrated it by your actions. Evan felt the weight of her words, but smiled faintly. I guess I didn't realize how much humans could change things. You did, Astra said, without knowing it.
Across the galaxy, loyal fleets began reorganizing under the influence of Astra and the human methods.
Battles that once seemed inevitable were prevented through clever engineering and strategic planning. Systems that had felt powerless discovered that collaboration with humans brought innovation that changed the balance of power. Evan continued his work, designing new technologies and refining old ones. Astra, as Empress, gave humans a role they had never held before. Equal partners in governance, strategy, and exploration. The galaxy began to adapt, not to fear humans, but to respect them. One day, as Evan tested a newly modified warp relay, Astra appeared beside him. She did not command, she did not judge. She simply observed. You have transformed this place, she said quietly, and with it, the Empire. Evan shrugged. I just fixed things that could have broken worlds, she replied. Humans have proven themselves invaluable. He smiled, feeling the weight of the galaxy on his shoulders, yet tempered by the simple pride of a human who had followed his instincts.
Then I guess we're just getting started. Astra nodded. We are.
And the galaxy will never be the same. Evan looked out at the stars, the station humming with life, the human crews bustling, and the Imperial fleets holding watch. For the first time, he understood the magnitude of what they had done. He had started as an engineer, a simple human on a forgotten station. Now, alongside an empress, he had become part of a force that could shape the future of countless worlds. Together, they had changed the rules of the galaxy, not with sheer power alone, but with ingenuity, courage, and the unique strength of humans. And in that, Evan finally understood what Astra had meant when she said humans could matter. The horizon was vast, the stars endless, and the possibilities infinite. And for the first time in his life, Evan felt ready to meet them all.